right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Walter Contreras. I'm super excited to be here today. We're going to talk about a topic that I think is extremely relevant right now, which is setting up goals for next year. One of the challenges that most people, most companies, most MSPs have is which goals are important to us. So I want to go over that with you today, and hopefully after this webinar, you get some really good information about how to do that. I want to make this as interactive as possible, so I'm gonna send out some questions that hopefully you guys can answer and give me some feedback on it. It is there's no information put on there, so you can just answer the questions. No one will know as you answering those questions. So what we're gonna cover today is what are SMART goals, right? Everybody heard the acronym SMART goals. We'll talk about that. I want to help you define some of those goals and which of those goals are priority to you. And, one of the things that here at Motiva, we focus a lot, Binox, we focus a lot, is finding the purpose. And by purpose, I mean the reason why we do what we do. And how does that apply to actually setting goals and even financial goals and other stuff. So we'll talk about that as well. I want to help you build your ICP, or what is called an ideal client profile. I think a lot of us need some help in that area, and I can tell you that building one for us has been a tremendous difference in our business. I want to talk about data in general, more importantly about how data is sourced, what type of data, what data is important to us, and how the future of sales and marketing is shaping to be all about the data and what kind of data. So I want to show you how we source leads here at Motiva and Binox, and I want to show you how this is completely different than it used to be a long time ago before COVID. And we're gonna give you some homework, some stuff that I want you to take care of, and we'll go through that as well. And obviously, please feel free to post any questions you have on the queue. Monica will be monitoring the Q&A, and she will be telling me of any questions that are pending. So I'm going to shut down my camera for a second. But so my name is Walter Contreras. Like I said, I have been running an MSP for the last 15 years of my life, and we are based in New York. I could tell you that the biggest difference for us was starting to set those goals every year for the last few years and truly focus on how do we get to those goals, because sometimes we just don't know how to set them up, or maybe they're just unobtainable. But again, we are an MSP just like you. We are Binox also, but we run an MSP in New York as well. And this year has been an amazing year for us, and it's literally based on the things that I'm going to show you today. So I'm gonna ask this question: What are your goals for 2022? And I'm just gonna launch this real quick, this poll. If you don't mind answering on there, I would like to hear what are some of those goals that you have for next year. For us, it's always about increasing monthly recurring revenue. We'll talk about monthly recurring revenue, by the way, and more specifically, we'll talk about something that I'm really passionate about, which is annual recurring revenue. I actually think that monthly recurring revenue is just for measuring and not really for success. So this is a picture of literally what's set in front of my desk during COVID. And I started building my goals, and I have written down, actually the original sheet had $5,000 of MRR per month. And then what I realized is that, as I went through this process, I started to see that every time I took action on these goals, this is literally a sheet I had in front of me, and I was looking at it every day, and I realized that I was approaching 5, then 10, then I crossed over 10, and then 25. And so far this year, we put close to $90,000 of MRR. And I am not telling you that to brag. I am telling you just because I was just like you, not moving the needle in any direction. And literally by just looking at these these goals in front of me and taking action on them, it's really what made a difference for me. And so the first thing I will tell you, always write them down, right? Somewhere where you can see them. Just like I did here, by the way, that's my daughter's picture there. Focus on what matters to you, not others. You know, one of the things I see around all these groups that I belong is that everyone has different goals. Yes, of course, we all want MRR, but you truly have to get in touch with what that means to you, right? Yes, we all want to increase revenues, but why? Do we want to do it because we want to hire more people? Is it because we want to, take our families on a great vacation? Like, there has to be a reasoning, and those goals are going to be different than other people's goals, even if it's just a simple word as MRR. I think it's very different for everybody. So, and why is it important to set up SMART goals? And we'll go through that in a second. But goals are just adjustable, right? I mean, when you think about them, you can set up a goal, but if you're doing great, you're taking action on it, and you're doing great, you're gonna surpass it. So adjust them as you go. And by the way, you may have a quarter where you say to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm having trouble. Maybe somebody left, or you didn't do enough marketing, or you didn't have enough leads." Adjust them and just regroup, right? So goals are there to be adjusted. MRR versus ARR. You know, as an MSP for the last 15 years, I was very accustomed to this whole MRR thing, and I will focus on only trying to increase MRR and grow my business that way. The truth is, what software as a service business has taught me is that we have been looking at that wrong. Meaning, MRR is great for measuring, for true growth of your business is annual recurring revenue what's important. Other people refer to that as rolling 12, or how do you compare annually to the previous years? I work in quarters. I don't actually work in years. My quarters are adjusted all the time. I spend a lot of time figuring out what matters to me, and that's how I build those goals. And I gotten to the point where now I almost know exactly what I'm gonna do based on the actions that I take. So for me, annual recurring revenue, it's what matters the most, right? So, and we could talk about that a little more. So, SMART goals. Everybody heard about them, right? They need to be specific, they need to be measurable and achievable, realistic, timely. And so one of the things that we do find, sorry about that. One of the things we find with this is that people just don't understand how important it is not to go so detailed on everything, and not to get caught up on so many of the weeds, but actually take as much action as you can on these goals, right? So what we do is we take the shooting from the hip approach, right? Which is, we don't write them down, right? We don't know what we do. We don't make a commitment with ourselves. So, we need to promise ourselves that we're going to take action on this. And the truth is, not all goals are created equal, right? And we're going to focus today mainly on business goals, but I can tell you that it's the same on personal goals, right? And the biggest thing that has taken us to the next level has been execution. And just stop making excuses about, what it is that we need to do. So being specific, I'm going to give you some examples on how we set up goals in our company. And one of the things that I will tell you is that it may be a little backwards than what you heard before, but it actually worked for me. And I want you to maybe take a page from it, because it may work for you. And I just want to tell you, so let's say an example of increasing our MRR by $5,000 the first quarter of 2022, right? Let's say that's a goal. And so, increasing that revenue. So is that specific enough, right? Saying I'm going to increase my MRR by 5K at the end of first quarter of 2022. Is it measurable, right? So yes, sure. I'm giving myself until the end of the quarter to complete it. Is it achievable? Sure. right? I mean, that's something that you really, this is where we're going to start dissecting the goal, because only you can figure it out if this is achievable for you, right? So you can say, I want to make $10,000 of MRR, but can you actually get to that? Do you? And we'll go through that goal together, right? So is it realistic, right? Can I actually get there? Do I have enough leads, raw or qualified leads, right? Do I have the marketing and sales process so perfect that I can increase my sales by $5,000? Uh, do I have enough people, right? If I get these customers, can I actually onboard $5,000 worth of MRR, right? And that number could be higher or lower for you. And have I taken a look at my current new customer acquisition process and what I need to execute on that to be able to do this? So is it realistic, right? Is it timely? Sure. Is the time that you give yourself enough to reach that goal? So all of this come into play, and I'm going to give you some examples of how we do goals here. But I do want to introduce you to my madness of how I actually set goals. And you know, I am a visual person, so when I am setting goals, I visualize what that goal is, and then I work myself backwards. And what I mean by that is I start to look at each action I have to take on some of the things that are important to reach that goal. And we're gonna go through that together, right? So by the way, nothing else matters other than action. I can spend the next 3 days showing how we do goals. If you actually don't take action on any of these, it's just not gonna work, right? So you heard everybody speak about, oh, set up goals, do this, right? But the truth of the matter is, without action, it's not gonna work. You're given the worksheets, you haven't taken any action, right? And I actually think one of the reasons why we don't take action on some of these things is because we haven't defined our purpose. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about something that occurred to me as I was starting this new venture, Binox. We spent a lot of time projecting, creating, developing, and all of that. And I do work with some coaches, and one of my coaches, Pete Crackeventer, was sitting in a conference room with me as I am explaining this new business model, this world domination idea about Binox, and he was just serious looking at me for like an hour, and I kept on saying to myself, why is he not asking any questions? And at the end of it, at the end of me presenting this thing, I said, Pete, how great is this thing, right? I'm gonna conquer the world. He said to me, Walter, what's your purpose? And at the time, I didn't realize what he was trying to tell me. I actually went home and told my wife, I don't know why I pay Pete all this money, because he's asking me about this purpose crap where I'm showing you, how I'm going to make millions of dollars. And 2 weeks went by, and eventually one day I got it. And I understood that purpose is so important. Finding out why you do what you do is so important, because everything else doesn't matter afterwards. I speak to almost 15 MSPs a day, and the first thing I hear is about pricing, right? Pricing issues, or they haven't figured out certain things in their businesses. And honestly, for us, it has become so clear our purpose that even pricing is simple, right? So if you need more help trying to figure out that purpose, I'm always available to talk. I think it's something that is crucial to any business owner, to understand why you do what you do. And it has to be clear in your head, right? Why is this important to you? So let's break it down. Let's go into breaking down the MRR, right? So the first thing you want to do is figure out how much revenue on MRR, monthly recurring revenue, did you make last year, right? And I'm just going to put another poll here for kind of finding out how the size of the companies we're talking to right now. So if you could do me a favor and just complete that poll, that would be great. So how much MRR did you make last year? It's important to know, because you can divide it by 12, right? And that will be your average MRR per month that you're doing right now. That's just logical, easy to understand. If you multiply them by 3, that is your quarterly current MRR. That means that if you're going from 2 to 5, from 2,000 to 5,000 on MRR, that 3,000 difference, we have to figure out how we're going to get there, right? So if more than 5K, then you need to increase your goal, right? So if it's more than $5,000 for this particular example, you're going to need to adjust that goal as we go. By the way, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll get a copy of it if you need to go back and look at it. So, and again, same thing if it's less, right? So if it's less than 5K, then adjust it. So 5K MRR is about $1,600 per month increase each month. In 3 months, you have to get there, right? So how do I get there? How do I go from 2K to 5K is the real question. First thing I want to do is figure out what is your ICP, right? Or what we call your ideal client profile. This has to be 100% clear to you, because if not, you can't go and source the proper leads for you or put the proper amount of people in your CRM or your PSA, whatever you're using for marketing. And so for that reason, this is the one thing that I will tell you that you need to spend a lot of time with, finding out who is that customer for me, who is important to me, right? This became clear to us 2 years ago, and I cannot even begin to tell you what a difference it made in our business, right? So it's important to understand what an ICP is. For us, it's very simple. Motiva services insurance agents, independent insurance agents in the state of New York. So for us, our buyer persona or ICP is clear, right? So our messaging, our emails, our websites, if you guys go to motiva.net, that's our page for our MSP. It's 100% geared toward one industry, right? So we know who we are targeting. And real quick question for you guys is, how do you currently get customers, right? So I am going to post another question here about how many leads do you guys actually get per month into your systems, right? So do me a favor and answer that question there. But a lot of people tell me, word of mouth, right? Word of mouth can only do so much. Referrals are great, awesome source of leads, but there's sometimes just not enough of them, right? So outbound marketing, inbound marketing, social media. I did a webinar a couple months ago about LinkedIn, how we actually put 15K of MRR literally from just talking to people on LinkedIn. And it's a phenomenal webinar. You should look at it on their binoxmsp.com. So appointment setters, right? This is another one that I'm super passionate about. Just so you guys know, in the next few of these webinars, we're bringing experts in the sales process. The next one we do, we're going to bring somebody who's going to teach you guys what this new sales process mean. And I tell you that the days of those 90,000 a year plus commission salespeople are over, because everything is delivered electronically, and we actually don't have any of those guys. So we're going to teach you how to do that in the next webinar, so stay tuned. Okay, trade shows are a great thing to do, but then again, with COVID, it's been a little difficult to do. One of the biggest sources for us of leads is actually webinars, and I'll show you guys a little bit about it. But the question here is, how many unqualified versus qualified leads do you put in monthly, right? So I see most of the people here are putting 10, some don't, right? Some 50. It really depends, but consistently sending leads and putting in leads into your marketing machine is one of the most important things we need to focus on. So we'll talk about that a little more. So let's go back to that goal from 2K to 5K. How do we get that, right? So this is an example of a small MSP putting 100 leads or less. So if you were putting 100 leads or less of unqualified per month, right, how would you qualify them, right? That's one of the questions I always get. Hey, Walter, we're getting leads now, so how do I qualify those leads to make sure that they're actually people that would like to do business with us? And some of the things, like I said, one of the biggest ones for us is webinars. So can you invite them to a webinar that is relevant to their industry, right? So An example for you guys from what we do on Motiva is we actually have the focus with the independent insurance agents. So all of our webinars are geared towards cybersecurity that affects their businesses directly, right? In the state of New York, actually, there are regulations that affects them. So all of our webinars are geared toward that. So very interesting. Every time we do a webinar, we get a couple hundred people on it because we're talking about things that are relevant to their industry. We actually did a live hack of one of their major, what they call the agency management software. And we show in real time how a hacker can get into their systems without them even knowing. And that went viral, and it brought so much business to us. The other one is, can you send them postcards, mailers, right? I mean, a postcard is like 40 cents, a dollar, even if you want to get fancy. And, it's funny because when I started doing letters, I actually had my mother-in-law help me. She was unemployed. And so the excuse of saying, oh, I don't have anybody to mail these things, I just don't have any excuses anymore. And so I asked her to do it. She still do some of them. So we send about 100 letters per week, but that's just us. You can start slower and send a few, and we'll talk about the amount in a second. But can you actually send something to warm up that lead to get them going, right? And if you are using Binox, by the way, to source your leads, you can send them emails, right? They've been opted in. So you can use those leads generated from Binox, and we'll go through that in a second too, and send emails out, right? Go back to look at my webinar for LinkedIn. That was a great, I actually gave away our playbook on how we engage with people on LinkedIn, and more importantly, how we do not sell on LinkedIn. I get a lot of comments on SMS marketing campaigns because MSPs were kind of wired differently than other industries. It is very interesting to me that as MSPs, we are driving technology, but yet we don't use technology to generate business. So there are companies doing SMS texting campaigns, and they have results. They just have to be very well developed. I'm not telling you going text everybody and just send them an invitation to whatever, but I am telling you that the future of marketing will be SMS. And so Binox sources mobile numbers as well. So how do I go from 2 to 5? Here's another thing, phone calls. This is the number one excuse that MSPs give me. As I asked this question on almost every one of my Binox meetings, and I asked them, so how many phone calls are you making to generate new business right now? And almost everybody tells me that they don't have time, right? So I break it down, simple, right? Can you make 15 phone calls per day? And this is an example for this particular MSP, right? Because literally each phone call, average phone call, we have timed them here. We have 3 appointment setters right now, and we have all the metrics on this. An average length of a phone call is no more than 3 minutes. So do you have 45 minutes to invest in growing your business, right? And if it's not you, can you have somebody else do that, right? So if this is too much for you guys, you can calculate it with half the numbers, and that 45 minutes goes to 23 minutes, right? So it's just a matter of not making the excuse of, oh my God, I can't make these phone calls, right? So I'm gonna pause here, Monica, for a second. I see some questions come in. Do you want to do them now, or do you want to do them at the end?
Yes, I do see some questions coming in. So the first one says, you talked about the ideal ICP. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, sure. I mean, you know, ICP is just who is your perfect customer, right? Some of you guys refer to as buyer personas. Sorry, let me see if I can go back. Some of you guys refer to as the buyer persona. We refer to most companies will refer to as ICP now. So for us, very clearly, is an insurance agent, average age, right? We know how many computers, how many employees, We know how they make decisions, right? How long it takes to move. In our case, like if we know that they need compliance, right? And they need cybersecurity. And if they don't do it, they can potentially lose their license or face some fines. So we speak about that, we educate them on that, and that's how we build our ICP. Okay. Let me go back. Yeah. So the phone call excuse, again, make some time. If not, hire somebody to do it. I mean, it's not, you can spend 30 minutes a day, allocate 30 minutes, and I can guarantee you, if you had the right leads, the right information, you're going to make some contacts, just because the phone call can never be replaced. I mean, everybody's doing email marketing, everybody's doing outbound marketing and all of that. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. And at the end of the day, I got to tell you, most of the business we get is from making a phone call. And so we just triple down on that, because it's just, and everybody will tell you different, right? They will say, oh, no one's in the office. Everybody's in the office. They may not be physically in that office, but they're working. In fact, we're calling people like after 5 p.m. and we're finding most business owners after 5 p.m. they're still in the office today because they're working from home. So it's just what works for you, right? You have to find that place, and making phone calls has made a big difference for us. Sending emails. You know, if you don't have a CRM, most MSPs will have what we call a PSA, right? So use it, right? Most PSAs will have some sort of a marketing platform in there where you can just make a basic email. Look, today, you there are no excuses anymore, right? Back in the days, you guys will say, oh, Walter, but I need somebody to make these graphics for me. Today, you can go into upwork.com and hire a kid from college for $12 an hour to make you some pretty cool emails to send out, right? That's if you are not associated with some of the marketing companies. We happen to be with Robin Robbins, and we're Producers Club members, and so we get a lot of this content from her to send those emails and those campaigns. But if you don't belong to any of those groups, by the way, if you do want to get into one of those groups, let me know. Shoot me an email. I'll be happy to introduce you. But if you don't, hire somebody to build something for you. Like, just make you some emails that you can send out and use your PSA to send them. Because once you get to automate some of this, then it makes it so much easier to follow up on more. Because the more you automate, the more you can do with one person. So we find that in our case, we started very slow. Monica can tell you, because she was the first one making outbound calls. We started very slow, making a few phone calls a day, and then we started getting appointments from there. Then people will get our emails, and then they'll say, oh yeah, I saw your email. And then we build a landing page for it, and we will walk people through the landing page. And then Monica will say, do you want to schedule a meeting with Walter? Yes, I do. And that's how we went. Now, fast forwarding, you can do a lot more, but if you do have a PSA right now, you can actually use it for this purpose. And again, metrics is important because you want to keep getting better at it, right? So you want to see open rates. You want to see if people are engaging with you. I have customers in Binox that spend a lot of money in marketing, and they tell me, Walter, we don't even know if this marketing is working because we have no idea if people are even visiting our website or engaging with our content, right? So one of those things is, how do we know their intent, right? Are people having the intention to buy from us? And how do we find that out? We'll talk about that because I do have some solutions for it. So the other thing is webinars. Like I mentioned, webinars is a big part of what we do and how we generate leads. And my question to you guys will be, are you guys doing webinars right now? And during COVID, we sort of had to rearrange the things that we were doing. So one of the things I did to generate business was I picked up the phone and I started calling every association, chamber of commerce, any business related association in my area, and I offer free webinars. I'm telling you, it's like the easiest thing you could do. because everybody wants to know more about cybersecurity. And so no one will say to you, no, I don't want your webinar, right? And that's an easy way for them to get to know you. You might even get their list, by the way, which means that now you have more people in your CRM or in your PSA that you can market to. These are better leads because they're coming directly from these webinars. And now we do webinars all over the country. We're actually in 4 different states starting next year. And that's Motiva, by the way. And it's all because we called all of these associations and we have become an integral part of their learnings and what they share with their members. So do webinars is again, the easiest way to do it. Find those organizations and have a way to follow up. At the beginning, we learned a lot of things about webinars, and at the beginning we were not following up on them, and we would just do the webinar, hoping people will go to the website and hit that page, right? But I could tell you that human interactions are quite different than what you expect. So follow up on them, take action, be proactive. Don't wait for them to sign up. And can you automate it? Can you automate the entire webinar process? Social media, it's an interesting platform for me. At the beginning, I had this idea that, only LinkedIn, right? And we do have success in LinkedIn, but then I realized that, you know what, I'm quite wrong about how I look at these things, because the younger kids that started coming into my office said, hey, how come we're not posting on like Facebook and stuff like that? And I was like, no, Facebook, no, people are not on Facebook. Our customers are not on Facebook. Well, I was wrong. I'm not telling you to go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook. All I'm saying is that people do hang around Facebook. If you do some targeted campaigns, I think we spend like $100 a month or something just to kind of keep things going. And we do get a couple leads from there. But again, social media is one of those places that we're just not doing enough as MSPs, and we definitely should. Monica wants me to be on the TikTok, and I don't know if that's gonna happen, Monica. Sorry.
It'll work.
So this is Warren Buffett. He said, I always knew he was going to be rich. He never doubted it. And I understand today more the statement. And it's not about being rich. It's actually about success, right? And it's about how do we get there to reach the goals that we want. And it's because once you take action, there really isn't a doubt in your mind that you're going to get there. And I can tell you that momentum will come as you start to take action. You need people to hold your hand. We have a monthly accountability call that you're more than welcome to join, where we speak to MSPs about their problems and their situations at the time. And I can tell you that once you get that momentum, you're gonna keep going, and it's a phenomenal feeling. I'm gonna pause here, Monica. I want to give a demo of Binox and how Binox can actually solve some of these issues. But before I do that, are there any questions?
Yes. So I see another one. It says, you said that you put 100 leads per month. Are these qualified or raw?
We do a combination. Most of them are raw. We warm them up. We do a lot of we do outbound mailers. We do outbound emails. We do posting on social medias. We have other tools that I'm going to show you in a second on how we keep track of that marketing. But it's a combination of both. I mean, I happen to think that if I am searching for leads, and let me just switch to that. That was a good segue, by the way. Let me see if I can share my screen. Monica, you guys see my Binox screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Binox is a phenomenal tool for sourcing leads. One of the biggest help for our growth actually has been the ability to search for leads. And we are customers of Binox. We use this tool for sourcing our leads. So in our industry, we can search by anything. We can go by zip code if we want. So I'm just going to give you an example. So this is a zip code near my area. If I did 25 miles from it, and in Binox, we have some curated industry groups. There are some subcategories We have SIC codes, NIC codes. You can do whatever search you want based on whatever you want, right? So if I said, you know what, I'm doing construction, I'm gonna hit search on that. And again, I'm looking on the company side, so you can look by revenue. I know a lot of MSPs like employee size, so you can put like from 25 to 100 employees, right? So you can narrow down the search as much as you can. And as you are doing those searches in Binox, Binox is going to go out and find you what we call human verified and machine verified leads, right? So these are companies that Binox have found, and it's going to tell you right away the revenues, the size of employees, where they're located. And when you click on it, it's going to tell you a little bit about the company. But what you can do is actually click inside the company and you will see every contact in there, right? So this particular one has 3 contacts in it. And one of the greatest things that Binox does is that we integrate with all PSAs, ConnectWise, AutoTask, you name Synchro, you name it. And most CRMs, Infusionsoft, HubSpot, Soho, Contact Science. I mean, there's a bunch that we integrate with. And the beautiful thing is that you can take this lead, which right now this one happens to be a machine verified, we'll show you what the differences are. And you can, with one click, put it right on the marketing campaign inside of your CRM or your PSA. Those deep integrations that Binox has makes the sourcing of leads very, very easy. You could also search for contacts, not just companies, but also by contacts. And so you could just literally look by any contact name, email address, right? So you could do, I'm just going to use mine as an example, but you can search by any contact. When you find that contact, this happens to be a human verified lead, which means that it has been scrubbed, has been cleaned. It comes with LinkedIn profiles, email addresses, mobile numbers, direct numbers, all of that. And when you click on this lead again, you can send it directly to the CRM. So it's an incredible tool. By the way, you can also send it to the PSA as an opportunity or as a contact in a company. So those integrations are amazing. We also built a lot of tooling for sales. Like if you have salespeople or you yourself are looking, you get that word of mouth lead, you go to their website, right? It's the first thing you're gonna check is their website. We built a Chrome extension that when you click on it, it actually tells you who works inside of that organization. So you can go right from here and select the person you want to target and send it directly to a marketing campaign, either on your CRM or your PSA. And so it's just a very easy way to source those leads and to actually verify that the data is correct. A lot of times we get a lead with a person's name, but that's not the right target, right? So same thing with LinkedIn, by the way. If you guys are LinkedIn users and you are using LinkedIn for searching for people. By the way, you don't even have to have paid LinkedIn, but a lot of times this information isn't available. Some people hide their information, or if you don't have a paid LinkedIn, you actually can't see it. So with a browser extension, it doesn't matter. We're gonna pull it, and you can take this information directly into your PSA or CRM, and just go from there, right? We also did it for Sales Navigator if you do that too. But one of the things that is changing the game for MSPs is something we call website reveal. And web reveal is kind of interesting to me because now we're getting into this whole thing of, what is intent data, right? What's an intention of somebody to buy from you? And as easy as putting this tracking code on the header of your website, right? Anytime somebody lands on your page, whatever page you selected, is going to tell you in real time. By the way, we support Teams and Slack notifications. It's going to tell you in real time that this particular lead has landed on your website. It's very different technology that if you guys have seen other website revealing tool in the past, we are very different because we only show you what we can verify. If we cannot verify the lead, we do not show it to you. So it's very interesting for us that we do, let's say, an email campaign, right? And then all of a sudden we start seeing a lot of hits from the people that we have emailed, and that sort of verifies the marketing that we've been doing with these customers, with these prospects. So website reveal, it's truly changing the game on how people understand, that the marketing they're doing, they're getting some feedback whether or not it's working. Literally closed a deal last week. Somebody who I've been trying to get for a while, and they looked at my proposal finally, and they landed on my page. So I gave them a call, and sure enough, they were ready to go. So Web Reveal, great tool. Everybody's using it. It's amazing feedback from the Binox team. So I'm gonna pause here, Monica. Are there any other questions?
Yes. So what is machine versus human verify leads?
Great question. So machine verify leads and human verify leads, it's obviously human has been confirmed by a human, right? So let me show you an example of that. All this information that you see on this lead, right? If you look at these contacts, you have machine and human. So the machine are represented by a robot, the human by a human. But if you look at them, they have more information on them, right? They're gonna have mobile numbers, they're gonna have all of that. And that's because this lead has been verified by a person. And that's basically scrubbing the lead. One thing I forgot to mention, Monica, is that if one of the things that Binox does well, big differentiator is the fact that we do guarantee the lead. So if there's ever a discrepancy, you can simply click on the lead, send it to a lead guard team, and they're gonna clean it at no extra cost for free, and you'll get it back within a few hours, completely clean. And that's just another thing that we do. We like to guarantee what we do. So this isn't a commercial for Binox, but I did want to show you how Binox actually helps with that. And if you want to take advantage of that, our pricing is going to change next year quite a bit. So if you do want to take advantage of website reveal, it will not be included in the basic plan for next year. So go over to webinar offer, binoxmsp.com/webinar offer, and take advantage of website reveal because it's going to be $300 more next year. So please take advantage of that. And lastly, you are more than welcome to sign up for our free monthly coaching call. Just go over to binoxmsp.com/coaching or simply send me an email at info@binoxmsp.com. Monica, are there any other questions before we let everybody
Yes.
go?
Yes, we have one last question. It says if you could go back to show us the website thing when you see someone landed.
Okay, web reveal. Sure. So website reveal, like I said, it all you have to really do is when you add a tracking website, we're gonna walk you through which URL, you give it a name, and once you do that, there's gonna be some code that you can put on the website. That code, once installed, is gonna start sending you these notifications that somebody landed on your page via Microsoft Teams or Slack, whichever one you use for you and your sales team. So you will know in real time what that is, who's doing that. Pricing, sure. Randy's asking a question. The pricing right now, Binox MSP is $299 a month, and that's about 125 leads, whichever type of lead you want. And it does include web reveal. Next year is going to be, so it's not priced per lead, Randy. It is actually priced per package. So it's $299 a month, include web reveal for now. And we can give you a free trial if you would like to just go over to the website we mentioned before. Okay. The syncing part and any integrations is all included. So if you guys want to try that, just head on over. It's about 150 leads per month, Randy, if I'm reading your chat correctly. There are other packages. If you need more than that, we find that most MSPs under 2 million don't need more than 100 good leads per month. So that has been it for me. I want to thank everybody for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you guys are busy, so thank you so much. I hope this was informational and Again, if you have any questions, this is my email address. I'm happy to answer any questions. I do encourage you to join us on our coaching call. We had so much fun last time. It is free, and I encourage you to go in there because there were so many. I'm bringing experts in different subjects every time, and the questions that MSP had were just phenomenal. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Monica. Have a great day.